Hey everyone, it's Pup Twigs here from Orlando, Florida, and joining me on this next episode of Unleashed, I've got Pup T Bolt from Queensland, Australia. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. So tell me about the origin of your name, T Bolt, and also I'm guessing it looks red and black. Your pup hood. Is there any
Yes.
significance to the red color that you've chosen for your pup hood?
Okay, so the origin of my name, T Bolt, T comes from, well, the name comes from my two favorite TV shows and series. So T is from Tiberius Kirk from Star Trek, and Bolt is from the Disney movie Bolt. Again, at the time when I was younger, if you like, I didn't realize that puppy was there. As early as the 90s, when I had my first business, I actually used a paw print for Paul Anderson web design and used the logo, "Are you ready to be poured?" That's sort of where my interest in leather appeared. And then it's only really been since puppy's been very prominent and I've got my first hood design that the red is a little bit towards my sexual preference, if you like. So being a gay male, and also found that I discovered I did like being a bottom.
There you go.
So I do, and also red's my hair color from when I was young. And my first puppy dog that I had as a pet was a red colored haired dog. So red's always been a favorite color as well.
Okay, all right, good. Well, how long have you been a pup?
So in the 90s, as I mentioned, puppy was sort of there, but I didn't realize. So it's only really been just on 3 years that puppy's been well and truly prominent in my life
Okay.
and has made quite a big difference.
Well, so in those 3 years, what have you found to be the easiest and what have you found to be the most difficult part of being a pup?
So the easiest part is the community, I have to say. I know it's repetitive and you've heard it probably many times through your interviews, but the pup community is just so welcoming, non-judgmental, all inclusive, and just no matter who you are, where you come from, what you do, what you like, straight, gay, black, pink, green, purple, or yellow, the pup community just welcomes everybody. And that's just so good to making you feel good about yourself and not being judged on how you look or etc. That's the
Exactly.
best thing. Worst thing is being very difficult being an older person coming into the pup community, which I guess did originate back in the older days from the BDSM community,
Hmm.
and being seen as almost trying to be a 20-year-old person in the pup community, but in fact, I'm actually 60. So the groups that I go to, I'm about 20 years older than most of the other puppies there, closer to the age of a handler, but I definitely don't recognize myself as a handler in any way. Definitely, I'm a puppy.
Well, and I was going to ask you because I don't think we'd ever talked about it about your age and my age, and you just told me yours. I will be 60 in January, and
Cool.
so we're both right at the same age at this point. Uh,
Yes. Well, I'm
and it's
60 in
been
December.
about 2.5 years for me uh, into the puppy community, and I absolutely just love it.
Yes. It's been awesome. And listening to your interviews too, it's just so overwhelmingly awesome, if you like, to see the experiences of all these younger folks who are letting and seeing how they can experience this now and how much it will affect them through their livelihood as they grow older.
Oh yeah, and our we have a group here called the Hound here in Orlando, and I finally started getting some of them to want to come on and be interviewed. And the good thing about those is they're all in person.
Oh,
And I've,
yes.
in fact, I've got another one tomorrow that I'm shooting tomorrow afternoon. He's coming over to the house here, and we're going to be doing another podcast.
Awesome. I have, as I said, been really enjoying them. For
Good.
my puppy headspace, it's just been amazing.
And that's why I do them. I do them so people can enjoy them, get to know other puppies around the world. and just learn about the community.
Absolutely. I mean, it is really just a, a personality, is how I call it. It's not really a kink as such to me. It's more a personality. And to have that little bit of playfulness and be able to escape your everyday job, especially as you know, being an older person too, how much pressure there is on you at work, how much stress they can be involved in a managerial position.
Oh yeah.
So to get into your puppy headspace, it's just so releasing.
Agreed, agreed. So speaking about a community, if there's something that you could change right now about the pup community, what do you think you would want to change?
I have been trying a little bit. It is difficult, but when you get your groups that are in the major cities, I guess where all the major puppies are, and it's easier to get groups together, a little bit more of the interaction with those who aren't as close, or sometimes when they hold events, they're in an evening during the week. And I understand they've got to get the majority of people along to enjoy, but just to consider those of us in maybe 3 or 4 hours from where they are, or something like that, to allow us to have a bit more interaction. That would be the only thing. And I have been trying to work on it, but it is difficult.
Yeah, I agree with you on that piece. So what kind of advice would you give somebody that's wanting to just now get into the pup community?
If they in any way feel that from what they've seen is really, really appealing to them, find somebody, anybody, anywhere, anyhow, even if you start going through your local park, find somebody that latches on to how you're feeling or that you can see how they're feeling,
Hmm.
and just start chatting to start with, and then see where that leads you. As I said, I started out very, very, very shy. Um, what I'm wearing today, I never would have worn 3 years ago. No,
Hmm.
not on your life. I would have had a t-shirt and long shorts and yes, my hood, but that was about it. So don't be ashamed if you've got nothing, if you're not comfortable in anything, if you don't want to show your face and you want to chat with somebody, definitely take the effort to start that conversation.
Yeah.
You will find that we're all very caring. Like I'm even mentoring somebody at work just in their headspace, not puppy, but still headspace. And it makes such a big difference to be able to then just talk openly with somebody. And that's just the start of the path to your freedom of spirit, really.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what brings you the most joy out of being a pup and being in the pup headspace?
For me, it's I've been with a partner now for 20 years. Um, it's really invigorated our relationship because I can now be somebody that I don't have to hide. It's a little bit more accepting now that he's seen the community as well. So for me to be able to enjoy my time with my partner, like we even play little games. I run around, and the fact that he's always looked after me, he's always been my handler almost, if you like to say, and
Hmm.
he's always been somebody who's cared for me and looked after me. So that's just the part that I find now that I can do it and not have any reservations. As you know, growing up in the 60s and 70s, it's very difficult to be openly gay, let alone openly kinky at the same time. So the times have changed, which is great, but now that I can be so with a partner is just wonderful.
Good, good. Well, and that kind of brings me to my next question. The thing you brought out a minute ago, what is your favorite play toy? Is that one of them that you have?
Oh, yes. Yes, so we've got a little squeaky puppy,
Yes.
and then we also chase the ball.
Oh, nice.
And then when we're feeling quite kinky, we go full hog.
Oh, you got the tail. There you go. Nice.
Up.
That is, I love that so much. So I hear from so many pups that I get to interview on what being a pup and being in this headspace has done for their mental health. What has it done for you?
I find that even at work now, if I start to feel the stress come on, I've got a squeaky toy I carry in my bag. All I do is just tap that with my foot, and it's almost magical. Puppy
Yep.
headspace can come into play. The stresses go away. I'll get up and even sometimes just chase my tail that isn't there around at my desk for a minute, sit back down again, and it's just like almost endorphins to let me get back into that
Yeah.
business that I have to do. But it takes the edge off all the stresses. And I come home so much more relaxed, so much more playful. And as I said, it's just enhanced our relationship so much. So it's just been awesome now that I
Yeah.
can do it so freely.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So what is one thing you wish you knew before you became a pup?
Oh gosh. If I had known how freeing, as I know I keep repeating, but if I had known how freeing it is of spirit, even back in the 90s, I obviously had an inkling because I used that PAWD Port and whatnot in my business name. If I had known what that actually meant back then in the way of how it feels, that's why I said if somebody's out there got any inkling about anything or any curiosity, sometimes it's the curiosity that is
Yeah.
the underlying spark. Talk to somebody. Sooner the better.
Yes, yes, yes. So what hobbies do you have there in Queensland, Australia, besides being a pup?
Yeah. So my partner and I do like to travel. We live in a caravan, or a trailer, as I think the Americans call them.
Have
So,
you?
and we live in a trailer park, but ours is not permanent. So we are completely mobile all the time. And as much as we can, we've got a permanent site. But as much as we can, we want to travel. We love going out for coffee and a lovely meal at a themed restaurant or just somewhere interesting. Other than that, we are big avid watchers of television and sci-fi and Disney.
Okay, good. What about pets? Do you have
Have
any
to mention,
pets?
of course, have to mention walkies. We love going walkies.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know there's a lot of titles that come with puppies. You've mentioned one, a handler, but you also got beta, you got omega, you got alpha. Do you identify as any of those? I mean, some people just identify as a stray.
Definitely not a stray. Definitely well and truly tied to my partner. Um, yes, I call him a handler. He also sometimes acts as an alpha. So
Hmm.
he's sort of that controlling side, but also caring side. Definitely me as a beta. I wouldn't say I'm omega, but I'm a beta service puppy, you could say. So
Okay.
I still like to have a little bit of control now and again, but much prefer to be controlled, looked after, and yeah, whatever my handler wants, he gets.
There you go. So something that really it's something new probably for you and I, but the younger ones have grown up with it now. But when we talk about pronouns, do you have a set of pronouns that you go by, or do you just not really, deal with the pronoun piece?
Um, I sort of understand why they do, as in the Mr. and the Mrs. of the past that where we used to, like when you went to somebody's house, you never called them Jack or Jill, it was Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones.
Hmm.
So in that respect, I guess the pronouns is the gay community's way or our way now of identifying those titles to the people in the LGBTQI plus area. And I think it's quite good that they've decided. I still go as a Mister, or if somebody says, well, we'd like to put a pronoun down, what do you identify as? It's definitely he, him.
Yeah, and even with the Zoom call down at the bottom of my screen, I have my pronouns on there because that it's become a mainstay anymore. It's very common.
Yes.
So
Well,
what? Oh, go
Pup
ahead.
Twigs is known, but he, him Pup Twigs or Mr. Pup Twigs, as what we would recognize it as, is
Yes.
just being polite.
So what kind of events do you have going on in Queensland, Australia that you go to?
So our local community in Brisbane, which is about an hour and a half drive south from me, they do an event on the fourth Sunday of every month. And the group is QPAS, so Queensland Pups and Handlers. And they do that of an afternoon on a Sunday, 3 to 6 on the fourth Sunday of every month. And afterwards, it's held at the Sportsman's Hotel, and they then go upstairs for dinner. It used to be a bit earlier. I used to go regularly. Now I just got to plan it a bit more because I got to get up to go to work very early on the Monday.
Oh,
And I
sure.
do struggle at my age driving at night time.
Yeah, yeah. So let's think about a question that you would want to ask the next pup that I interview, which will be one of my local pups, which is tomorrow. What would you want to ask them?
I think we sort of been discussing it a little bit, but if you're an older person and there's a younger pup around, definitely look after that older person and just go up to them and say, so when did you discover you were a pup and how does that affect you? That would be the question that I would be asking anybody.
Okay.
So if they're 20, if they're 60, if they're 12, it really doesn't matter. Oh, sorry, 18. If you've got that feeling and you see somebody, just go and ask them and say to the next puppy,
Okay.
when did you first experience that feeling that something was different and that when you saw a puppy, it sort of how did it affect you? Even
Hmm.
if it's a bio pup, so that sort of question.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not very specific there, pup, but yeah.
Okay. That's a very valid and good question to ask. So your question came from Pup C, SEA, from Washington, Ohio, here in the United States. And she goes by she, her. And she wanted to know when did or how did you know you wanted to be a pup? How did you know that you wanted to be a pup? What feeling did you get?
Okay, so it's an evolutionary sort of experience for me. I sort of had that back of the head feeling that there was something different and it wasn't just being a gay male back in the 70s and 80s when I first realized that came on. I didn't really come out as a gay person until I was in my late 30s and had stayed quite single since then. And then one day I was just looking at stuff on the internet, saw a picture of a human pup play, and something just clicked right then and there. And that's when the research started. And that was only about 4 years ago. So that's how that sort of evolved for me. But since then, as I mentioned through this interview, it's been such a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah, I'm with you totally on that and stuff. So if other pups may want to reach out to you and say, "Hey, I saw you on Unleashed," or just want to reach out and say hi, what kind of social media do you have that you would care to share?
Yep, so I do have a few, and it's just basically for me to be able to get out there and find more people to talk to and share experience. So I do have a Recon profile. I've got two Facebook ones, one under my name and one under Puppy's Awesomely Wicked Designs. If I can try to work out where to point over there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do have a Twitter account and a Telegram account. It's just a matter, as I say, for me, keeping in touch with what people do and enjoying the experiences and sharing where I can. But as you mentioned, I did send you a list. Happy to share.
Well, I will make sure they all get included on the video. So if the pups that view this can reach out if they so choose to, and everything. But any parting words that Pup T Bolt would like to share before we get off of the this video?
Just as I said, can't repeat it enough. If anybody out there wants to contact me in any way, shape, or form, I'm very, very happy to chat about my experiences, any concerns they might have. Consent being a huge thing in this community,
Hmm.
so they've got no concerns about being manhandled, molested, whatever. The consent part of this community is so amazing, is what makes it feel so safe to express yourself. So don't be afraid, ask.
Yeah. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you for a little bit on this, and hopefully it won't be the last time that we will talk and chat uh, online.
Not a problem at all. I've got all your details. You've got mine. Consider that a date.
All right. Hey, So good to talk to you.
Awesome.